Hello and welcome to the Anti-Racism in Academia Listen Information session. As I mentioned, this webinar is being recorded and the recording with captions will be made available on our YouTube channel. And if you're just joining us, please go ahead and use the chat and introduce yourself, your institution, and what are your plans for the long weekend. My name is Soumya Shankar, and I am one of the co-founders of the Anti-Racism in Academia, or ARIA initiative. Today, I'll walk you through some background information on ARIA, its signature program known as the Roll-Up series, what the discussion session experience is like, a review of Reach Out, which was the series that we did last month with this print of ARIA, and we will be focused on what we're going to be discussing in July this month, and finally, how you can register to participate. So let's get started with ARIA's origin story and a timeline of events. As we all know, by June of 2020 last year, there were two pandemics that rocked the United States. One is COVID-19 and the other racial injustice, which has been existing for centuries. Now, George Floyd survived COVID in April, only to be murdered in an act of police brutality in May 2020. By some accounts, 128 Black people had been killed by police by that point in the year, including George Floyd. There was also a 145% surge in anti-Asian hate crimes in 16 of America's largest cities. There was a growing awareness of Say Her Name and hashtag MMIW, which stands for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women, to highlight the disadvantages that the Black and Indigenous women face due to intersectionality. I was fortunate to be a member of a higher ed community that wanted to be an actionable piece of a woke culture and hold each other accountable for it. So an idea that was spun by my partner and ARIA co-founder Tina Pappas led to a group of strangers who are the leadership of ARIA today to come together and brainstorm ways in which we can bring the higher ed community together and have structured conversations on the topic of race. And thus the concept of ARIA was born in July 2020. Just a few weeks later, in August 2020, we launched the first prototype of our Roll-Up series. And after 5 months, we completed our discussion series, the first sprint of it. So in January 2021, we were done with the first sprint. But the events of January 6th at Washington, DC, made us realize how important it was to persist in our own learning journey. So by March of this year, we established our think tank, which is a diverse body of ARIA 2020 attendees and facilitators who help us evolve and grow ARIA. And then in June 2021, last month, we launched our second sprint of our signature Roll-Up series with several program enhancements, some of which are Slack. We launched our community engagement platform. And we also introduced a cohort model where the same group of attendees and facilitators get to experience ARIA, all of the ARIA sessions. We also enhanced our facilitator training or facilitator development program. And so that way all attendees are getting a more cohesive experience from their ARIA breakout sessions. And then this month, July 2021, we're focusing on Listen. We'll talk more about how many sessions we have in an upcoming slide. So what is ARIA? ARIA is a grassroots initiative that provides a way for the higher ed community to engage in self-examination through national intersectional conversations focusing on the topic of race, so that you can act from where you are. We believe in a shared humanity where open hearts, open minds. We insist that change at the individual level complements work at the organizational level, and that the strength of both can push forward the systemic transformations that are necessary to create an inherently inclusive and just academe. And the people behind ARIA, 6 of us, part of the ARIA leadership, myself included, who lead the development of ARIA, the signature Rollup series. You can also check out the whole ARIA squad, the leadership team, the think tank, and all of our 2021 facilitators on our website, ariajourney.org/the squad. You'll notice that we represent dozens of academic institutions across the country. So what makes ARIA noteworthy? First, we're a highly structured, agile initiative with a specific focus on empowering higher ed employees to act appropriately from where they are in their DEI journeys. We have mechanisms for regularly soliciting input from facilitators and attendees. And we have internal practices that support quickly reviewing, vetting, and incorporating the changes and feedback to increase our program efficacy and participant experience. We also make iterative improvements to the program on an almost weekly or sometimes daily cadence. And we're as dynamic as our ever-changing community of participants and facilitators. The second that makes us different is our approach. We use a learn, grow, lead framework to represent the iterative and continuous stages that a person has to work through on their journey in order to become more anti-racist and more inclusive. And beyond that, we curate and organize content so that attendees can think through what each concept is specific to the topic of the month, why it's important, and what are the takeaways for them, and how can they implement it from where they are. So we aim to help individuals translate and contextualize the DEI information that's out there, and hopefully find meaningful ways to implement it in their personal and professional lives. I'll take a pause there and see if there's any questions in the chat. Tracy, Desiree, Tina, see anything?
No questions yet, but feel free to put them there and we'll either answer them as we go or at the end for sure.
Yeah. The ARIA approach is best seen through our signature program, which I mentioned earlier, which is the Rollup series. Rollup stands for reach out, listen, learn, act, and persist. And these are the 5 ways that we suggest individuals can engage in thinking and behaving more inclusively on the journey to create anti-racist organizations. So these 5 topics are explored one by one over 5 months, and we began in June, so last month, and so we'll be ending in October of this year. These are 100% virtual breakout sessions. They're 90-minute discussion sessions, and typically have less than 10 higher ed employees. So typical group size is 6 to 8 participants. And you will be engaging with these attendees from across the country, sometimes even other countries. We have had participants from Canada as well. We train, equip, and support our facilitators to create and maintain safe spaces where they can host these sessions. So a bit of a data in 2020, ARIA hosted 170 hours of reflective conversation through 119 sessions with the help of 45 volunteer facilitators from higher ed. And we had about 650 participants. So what does the Rollup series experience entail? And before we get into that, it's important to note that the entire experience is built around active discussion, reflection, and a lot of critical thinking and self-examination that is intended to help individuals understand how they can enact anti-racist attitudes, practices, and behaviors. So what this means is whatever you put in the experience is what we're going to get out of it. Each month of what we do, a roll-up sprint is what we call it, or a 5-month run of the discussion series. Each month we can break it up into 3 parts. The pre-session experience starts from when you register for the session, which will be today, sometime today, hopefully, up until when you're actually having the session. And that period, you will be contacted by your facilitator with the web conferencing details, learning materials, usually we call them pre-session activities. And they're usually in the form of articles or videos or podcasts, and an activity to help you reflect on the topic. During the 90-minute session, you'll acknowledge the rules of engagement. Those are the rules that are used to govern and make sure that safe spaces exist for having the learning and the self-examination. You'll also review, reflect, and discuss the what, why, and how of the topic with session members and the facilitators. And then after the session, you will be invited to join, do a couple of things, complete a post-session activity, which is again, another program enhancement we made this year to provide a more cohesive experience for our attendees. You'll also be invited to join our community engagement platform, Slack, and also complete our feedback survey. So the feedback survey is very important to us because that's how we are able to grow this program and incorporate your suggestions and make this program more robust. And as part of the post-session activity, you'll be given a post-session worksheet. You'll be given a self-guided activity. And that's meant to help you, again, reflect on what were your takeaways and map them to where you are in your journey, learning journey, and your DEI goals, so that you can hold yourself accountable to enacting change. So now that we've talked a bit about the experience, let's take some time to review some key aspects of our topic discussion for last month, which was Reach Out. So in June, we kicked off the Reach Out part of our Roll-Up series. We define Reach Out as connecting with people from different backgrounds than your own. While we focus more on race, reaching out applies to interacting with people different than you in any number of ways. There are so many diversity dimensions that could include age, gender, disabilities, religion, socioeconomic status, and more. So the point here is to expose yourself to lived experiences that are different from your own, so that you are able to understand how to be a better ally in creating equity and inclusion. In June, ARIA hosted 15 breakout sessions with roughly 90 plus participants. 4 of these sessions are cohorts, which means that the attendees and facilitators will experience all of Roll-Up as one group. And for more information about Reach Out, please visit our website, ariajourney.org/reachout. We also thought of sharing a word cloud of a specific question that we asked in our post-session survey. And the question was, would you like to provide any additional feedback? And as you can see, our ARIA attendees from Reach Out have expressed a lot of gratitude, a lot of appreciation for this work, and a lot of love, a lot of ARIA love. And this month, ARIA presents to you the second part of the Roll-Up series, which is Listen. And as you all know, listening is a very crucial component of sustained race dialogue. To truly listen is to be completely present and giving all your focus to be receptive to the experiences that are shared by people from different racial backgrounds than our own. So for this month, we have planned some very interesting pre-work activities so that our attendees are able to experience what active listening feels like before the session and be able to reflect and share how they felt with the smaller group when they come in for the session. Attendees will also be able to analyze how they can implement active listening strategies in their personal and professional networks, depending on what their DEI goals are or where they are in their learning journey. So again, any questions? Anybody? That was a lot of information. I want to take a pause and see. And feel free to raise your hand, put your question in the chat, or unmute and speak. I think we have a small group, so.
This group is all in on listening, I think, not so much chatting. Although it's nice to see everybody, where everybody's from, and just the different, what's going on, and then also reflection from Canada, which was really impactful. So thank you for sharing that.
So, so now that we've given you a brief overview of what ARIA is and the Rollup discussion series is, we wanted to make sure you know how to enroll. Registration opens today, but it opens at 3:30 p.m. Now, this is a bit of a tangent from how we've done it, how we did it last month, for those of you who attended our information session last month. So last month for Reach Out, we had an overwhelming number of registrants for our information session. And because of that, all of our breakout session tickets were sold out in a couple of hours, in a few hours. And the cohorts actually got sold out by the end of the information session, which was in a couple of minutes. So the ARIA team made a conscious decision that we wanted to make sure that our registration process is more equitable, so that folks who are not able to attend the session today now are still able to register for a breakout session. So between 3:30 and 4, we have all of our email announcements. The ARIA team will be sending email announcements with links to our registration system, so you will be able to register for this month's session. And as you can see, we've scaled back a lot this year because we wanted to focus on developing a more robust experience. So the 4 cohort sessions, if you had signed up for a cohort last month, because they will continue with the entire Rollup series as a group, those sessions will not be open or available for registration. So we only have 11 a la carte 90-minute sessions available between July 14th and July 26th. And we also wanted to point that we're piloting, I mentioned the a la carte and cohort. So the a la carte, what that basically means is that you're just committing to one session topic. You need not have attended a prior ARIA event, either a breakout session or an information session. And you're just coming in and committing for that one particular session. So what 11 a la carte sessions mean is that there are less than 70 spots available. And so if you're interested in participating in July, we recommend that you register as soon as you see an email announcement from us, which, like I said, will be in the next half hour or so. We also are maintaining a wait list, and we typically have a lot of last minute cancellations. So we just email blast the wait list. And so if you are considering signing up and you don't see a session that's available for you, please do register on the wait list, and then we will let you know when a spot becomes free. All right. That's all I had for today's session. We can use the remaining time to answer any questions that folks may have via chat or Any feedback from people who have attended last month?
Yeah, so I think, Gloria, if I'm understanding, oh, good, Tina's replying. I was going to say every question gets at least 2 answers, so we're so excited for questions. So,
I'm gonna pull up
so you
the
should find out soon if you're in a cohort.
Yes, yes, I see your question, Laura. Yeah, so I can just expand, if I can just expand on Laura. So as soon as you register, you will get an email. We're using Eventbrite, so you will get a confirmation email from Eventbrite. But as soon as your session gets completely sold out, the process for ARIA is that we will let facilitators know, and they will follow up with you with a meeting invite. So, the Zoom invite. And then about 3 to 5 business days before your session date, you should be receiving an email again from your facilitators with the pre-session activities. And then after the session, you will be receiving another email that gives you the post-session feedback and a link to our survey and a link to our Slack channel. I see a couple of more questions. Jen asks, the FAQ on your website references a program schedule, but the link seems to be broken. What are the plans for that page? Thank you for pointing that out, Jen. We will fix that. We've been a little, Tina has been the person who's been doing a majority of the website work. So we will get that fixed as soon as possible. Lay asks, I was able to attend a reach out session last month and it was fantastic, but this may be helpful to others. What if we miss one of the 5 sessions along the way? Great question. So the way we have created the content is that you should be able to, if you miss listen, for example, or if you're having to miss listen, you should be able to hop on to a learn or act or persist. The session experience is for the topic of the month. And so while it will be helpful to have a review of what the other topics involved, it is not a requirement. It's not mandatory that you should have attended all of the sessions or that you should have attended them in that order. We also do encourage, if you've missed a particular month, we do encourage you to review our website, which is updated with a lot of resources. And it kind of gives a recap of what happened that month. So you can catch up on the what, why, how of the previous month if you missed it. So that way you're still able to get the context, even though you were not part of the session. Wendy asks, I attended 3 or 4 sessions last year. Do you prefer that we step aside in favor of someone who is new to ARIA? I don't, and this is just me, I'm just going to speak for my behalf. I don't think so, because if you find a session and if you've missed it last year, and if you really want to be a part of the listen session, go ahead and just register. Or for our purposes, we're tracking at the time of registration, we ask attendees to let us know if they've attended a previous ARIA event, so either an information session or a breakout session. And that information, we pass it on to our facilitators so that they're able to understand what's the ARIA experience like with the current attendees in the room. But we don't have, I don't want us to be limiting you from attending a session, Wendy. Any other questions? Guy asks, is the registration link definitely coming out within the next half hour? I have to go somewhere, but I don't want to miss it. Absolutely, you will not be able to miss it, because we're going to be blasting most mailing lists. And the email will have the link to the registration site. Let's see, any other questions? I can stop share so we can see. Anyone else have any other questions? All right. Well, I hope everyone has a wonderful long weekend, because I don't think I might be seeing all of you. And hope it's relaxing, and hope we see you at another ARIA event, and hopefully you can register for an ARIA breakout session. Thank you so much. Bye.